Now that we have that set, we can go ahead and take the capo off. We're going to check out that nut and let's see where that's at. Once again, I'm going to move back to my other neck rest here so we have a little room to work. Now when we're checking to see where we want the nut, we're going to hold it down, just touch. This is something I want you to use touch. Don't want you to use feeler gauge. This is the much better way to do this. And you can just touch those strings at that first fret. You can see the clearance, and you can see there's a little difference from one string to the next here. Some are lower than others. Now I'm going to go ahead and take and fret it on the first fret, touch it on the second fret. Now that is just about what we want. We want to be just a hair higher than that, just to give ourselves a little bit of clearance, because when that string is open, it tends to flop a little more and be a little buzzier. So it looks to me, when we take a look across, it's the A and the E string. We go to the first fret, we go to the second fret. Those two there's quite a bit of difference there, too much difference. So now we're going to need to get our nut files out. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and adjust those two strings. We're going to need to use the 48 and the 32 nut files here for the A and the E. Let's start out with the A. They both need to come down a little. Now here, just ever so slightly, since this file is so close to the same size as the string we are adjusting, let's just move it around a little bit while we're coming down. And just go slow. You can't put any back. You can always take a little more off. Now let's pop the E out, take the 48. This is a little bit bigger, so we don't really need to move it around other than the fact that it might bind a little bit. So just nice and easy. Take a little bit. You might have to do this 15, 20 times to get it right. That's much better than trying to do it quickly and going too low. Now let's take a look again at what we've done. And when we look at that, we can see that they both need to come a little bit more. We'll go ahead and fret it on the first fret and feel that distance between the first fret and the second. When you just feel that, let it go, and then just feel that first fret. You can see there's a little bit of difference there. So we still have to go a little farther. Get the file out again. Okay, let's check that again. Okay, I think that's going to work for us. Now what I always like to do with anytime I cut a nut slot like that, I go to the next file smaller. And in this case with the 32, it's going to be a 25. And I'm just going to draw this through a couple of times. It gives a little bottom for the string to seat on that's a little smaller, and that holds the string nice and tight so that you don't end up with that sit-tarring that's really irritating. A lot of times when you have an open string, it makes a strange sit-tarring sound, and this will alleviate that. So we'll just a light little run through. It gives a little seat to the bottom that's a tiny bit smaller than the string, but not so much that it holds the string or causes it to get caught up in there. So now we've adjusted the nut. Go ahead and check our tuning, get our tune back up to pitch. And keep in mind with the floating trem, you got to tune back and forth. It's constantly moving. As soon as you change the tension on one string, it changes the whole thing. So now it looks like we've got it set where we want. Now that we've taken the capo off, our action is going to be a little bit higher. It's going to be more like a 16th plus is what I like to call it, which typically for rock and blues is not a bad height. That's pretty typical action. Guys like their action pretty low. So that looks good there. The other thing we wanted to do, we adjusted the spring tension here, and a measurement I like to have on the bridge looking up just take the ruler here and look at the back of the bridge. And that little gap that we have there, I like that to be somewhere between a 1/16 and 3/32. That seems to work really well.